Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about today. 2020 is around the corner, and the Democratic Party has 12, 15 candidates. They don't have somebody. If Hillary runs, which I think that she will, um, then she'll just become nominee automatically. This might be a situation where 12, 15 candidates say they're going to run, and then eventually it just all leads to Hillary Clinton because she can raise the most money because all the money is linked to her donors and fundraisers and fundraising and the Clinton Foundation and all that. To my super chat, thank you so very much. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams, and especially sometimes I was actually just on the with YouTube support, because sometimes my videos get demonetized and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm saying that gets them demonetized. But the super chat support is very, very greatly appreciated. And let's start. So I mean, almost always they're okay, but sometimes I'm like, what happened? What could I possibly have said? Because I don't use any profanity and I'm like completely straight laced pretty much. But Julian Castro is going to run. He's going to run for president. And this is very interesting. Almost 30% of Latinos voted for President Trump. Hispanic voters voted for President Trump in 2016. Now, one of the biggest reasons I think that Trump will easily defeat Julian Castro if he runs is that Castro basically attacked Bernie Sanders and tried to undermine Bernie Sanders during the 2016 Democratic DNC primary. So he went after Sam Lund. I doubt Clinton will be able to win the primaries. DNC are dumb, but not dumb enough to make the exact same mistake twice in a row. Sam Lund, thank you. Well, the issue with Democrats is that they are there's a groupthink there. So whereas you and I would say, no, of course, any rational person wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton, she does essentially control the Democratic Party. So whereas you and I and everyone here, we're all rational people, they're irrational. They cheated Bernie Sanders, then blamed Russia. And Clinton had an FBI criminal probe where she transferred top secret intelligence. Should have been an Espionage Act violation. So U.S. Code 793F. But here, Julian Castro claims Bernie Sanders voted with Republicans to protect a hate group. So here you go. He's getting nasty. He's getting nasty. And he got really nasty in April 30th, 2016. And then PolitiFact said half true. So he was used by Julian Castro. He was used by the Democratic establishment. He willingly and he did everything possible during the primary to undermine Bernie Sanders, claiming that he supported horrible people. And of course, this was the establishment. This was one of the many establishment political insults hurled at Bernie Sanders. One of the reasons that he was cheated, never going to win to begin with. I didn't know that, obviously, but he was cheated. And of course, that was Russia's plot to create discord and hurt Hillary Clinton in swing states while she won the popular vote. Not. But here is, if you just look, he's going to have a very difficult time uniting the far left along with the establishment Democrats. So what Democrats are trying to do is they're trying to get a Bernie Sanders light. They're trying to get some kind of energy and passion. So no matter what Bernie Sanders is now a tool of the Democratic Party. He is pumping the Trump-Russia myth. He was never bringing up the fact that he was cheated, never bringing up the fact that the DNC fraud lawsuit cost his voters, or that his voters were defrauded of $200 million. He doesn't bring up anything. He just got cheated, and he said, well, you know what? Let bygones be bygones, and that's all we can do. But see, before he basically became a tool of the Democratic Party, there was a moment where Bernie Sanders had this spark. There was a moment where Bernie Sanders had a spark. They're trying to regain that spark. They're trying to kindle that passion, that energy. And they can't do it because they already left. It's like, once you leave your fiance at the altar, you can't just say, well, let's get married again. Johnny 5, thank you. Johnny 5, thank you. So Julian Castro went after Bernie Sanders. And then Bernie Sanders went after Julian Castro. And progressive groups target Julian Castro. They say that the record of the HUD secretary makes him unsuitable to be Clinton's VP. So Hillary Clinton was thinking of then 41-year-old Julian Castro. Was he 43 now? To become vice president. The Veep Stakes Alpo war has begun, with Bernie Sanders' durability exciting progressives at their potential to shape the Democratic race. See, this is what they do. The Democratic Party utilizes, and with many pundits also, they utilize their progressive left, the true believers, the idealists. Now, the really true believers are in the Green Party, and they don't really care. They don't care if they disrupt everything, because they definitely want change, and that's the only way Democrats will ever learn. If Democrats know that their voters will never vote for them because they're corrupt, and they blame Russia without any evidence, and they focus 95% of their energy on Trump-Russia, then they would actually change. But what takes place is you have pundits and you have people like Bernie Sanders who get cheated, who know very well the establishment will never change. But what they do is they say, well, we'll work from within. And if the Democratic establishment knows that there's so many people who want, for example, Medicare for all, or a green economy, or a $15 minimum wage, or abolish ICE, then we'll work from within. And then what happens is they get the House, and then all of those policy objectives that they promised their constituents, well, those are forgotten. And so the establishment, Nancy Pelosi, mainly Hillary Clinton, gets exactly what they want. They get exactly what they want. And then the left, and what happens in the Democratic Party is the left polices itself. The Yahtzee! I'm pondering if I should Photoshop my birth the Yahtzee! The Yahtzee! Run for president. I'll vote for the Yahtzee. Thank you, the Yahtzee. Thank you. Johnny 5. Sorry, but even if it's not my case, that's what politicians think of us. Politicians do think of the average American in that way. Johnny 5. I agree with you. Cool Blue 71. When the DNC rigged the 2016 primaries against Bernie Sanders, they also rigged them against everyone who voted yes, the nomination of Bernie Sanders. Exactly. Cool Blue 71. Exactly. Thank you to my super chat today. Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. 100%. I agree with you. Ebenezer Adams, Yahtzee. It doesn't even seem to be a good. Don't bother. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. You got everybody here knows that I don't believe it was forged, but I respect everybody who's watching. Thank you, though. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you for your support. Even though I respectfully disagree, but thank you both and everyone for your support. What happened was, according to a report from Politico, this is HousingWire.com, a cadre of progressive groups are now targeting Castro in an attempt to disqualify him as Clinton's nominee and using HUD's practice of selling non-performing loans to private investors as their weapon. The groups are launching a website and a series of petitions that aim to use HUD's sale of non-performing loans to Wall Street and Castro's supposed reluctance to sell to nonprofits instead as a way of turning him into a toxic asset for the Clinton campaign. So it was a HUD practice of selling non-performing loans to Wall Street and not to nonprofit or community groups. These are all the groups that, by the way, stated that Castro shouldn't be Clinton's vice president. The groups which include Presente, Root Strike, Color of Change, Daily Costs, even. It's interesting. Roots Action, Working Families Party, call the practice of selling non-performing loans to private investors Julian Castro's Wall Street giveaway. Those groups aren't alone in calling the practice of selling non-performing loans to private investors into question. Over the last several months, prominent figures in the federal government, like Senator Elizabeth Warren, Representative Mike Capuano, loudly criticized the program, as did U.S. Conference of Mayors and other groups, which argue that private investors push foreclosures over attempting to work to keep borrowers in their homes. The progressive groups behind Don't Sell Our Homes to WallStreet.org appear to feel the same way. Quote, it's a situation where the Clinton campaign wants Castro to be a major asset to her chances of winning the White House. And unless he changes his position related to foreclosures and loans, he'll be a toxic asset to the Clinton campaign. So you better believe that this is going to be a huge issue in 2020. You better believe that this is going to be a huge issue. So this is one of the reasons. The identity politics aspect of this is not going to work. 30% of Hispanic voters voted for President Trump. Now we have the lowest record Black and Latino unemployment. If you look, lowest record Black and Latino unemployment. So hold on, Hispanic unemployment. July 6th. Okay, so on October 5th, Hispanic unemployment rate hits lowest levels on record. This is July 6th. Hispanic Latino unemployment rate hits lowest levels on record. May 4th, Black and Hispanic unemployment in America reach record lows. This is Bloomberg. Prospect.org. African American Hispanic unemployment rates continue. Okay. Hispanic unemployment all-time low under Trump. This is December 8, 2017, but it continued. And then, of course, you get The Atlantic. The Black and Hispanic unemployment rates don't deserve applause. President Trump lauded them and then claimed credit for their positive development last year. He was doubly mistaken. So it's like he's at once the most horrible human being on the planet, but if something good happens under his tenure, well, it's Obama who did this. And we have a it's probably going to be a 3% GDP this year, hopefully over 3%. And we had an average of 1.6% during Obama's tenure. So we're led to believe that there's nothing that Trump did. And it's unbelievable. So there's going to be the Democratic Party is full of contradictions. So there's an identity politic aspect, but if the identity politics aspect doesn't correspond with actual progressive policies, then the politician cancels out any advantage that he or she would have. So if Julian Castro is not helping people keep their homes, and he's selling non-performing loans to Wall Street, and he could be selling them to, the community, or what was it that this article stated? Johnny Five, wouldn't you agree with the dichotomy between left-right is getting worse? We had Tea Party and now socialists running. There's no middle here. I agree with that, but I agree with that, Johnny Five. But here's my thing. I think that there's no emphasis, either left or right, on foreign policy. And I noticed something yesterday. Definitely check out my Second Amendment channel, everybody. It's HA Second Amendment. But this is what I noticed. Yesterday, I was talking about Tulsi Gabbard. And I was saying that, Tulsi Gabbard is an anti-interventionist and somebody I could see voting for in 2024. Then some people were saying, "Oh, well, she's an anti-gunner." I don't believe she is. I don't believe she is. But the fact that it was so overlooked. So there are issues that, and of course, like, I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I believe that every American. I don't believe that gun control works or anything like that. But I believe that every American should be armed and should enjoy the rights given to them, the rights that they own, that they have. These are natural rights. The Second Amendment is a natural right. Antonin Scalia said it was a right even that the Constitution doesn't give to you. It's a right that precedes the Constitution. But I noticed that, like, well, but she'll go with the Democratic line on that. I'm like, well, no, I don't think so. And also, what about the fact that she would be infinitely better than a Paul Ryan or an establishment Republican? So what's going to happen, in my view, is that after President Trump, Ebenezer Adams, my goodness, thank you. The lack of critical thinking on the left is overwhelming. John Barnard, the lack of critical thinking on the left is overwhelming and getting worse as you speak. Yes, it is. It is. Ebenezer Adams. HA, I'm a certified IT pro. I am on the short list of developers and architects at a Fortune 100 company that rhymes with going. Okay. I think I know which company that is. I write software and can testify in court as an expert. The BC they provided is fake. We can agree to disagree on this, but this is in my wheelhouse. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you very, 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 very much for your support. Certified Pro. Wow. I'm a short list of developers and architects at a Fortune 100 company that rhymes with going. Very cool. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. I have obviously you have more expertise than me or anyone. Most people in the country. I appreciate your civil and intelligent, disagreement or with me or statement. Thank you very much. I'm on the short list of developers and architects. Very cool. If you're a developer and architect for the company that rhymes with going, that's pretty awesome. And that's amazing. I commend you for that and for just always watching. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you very, very much. A certified IT pro. I appreciate that. And in addition to that, your expertise bolsters everything that I've been saying. You probably can add a great deal to how Clinton transferred top secret intel from JWICs or from other secure locations within the United States government. You probably have a lot more insight on that stuff than I do. Ebenezer Adams, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Cool Blue 71. Medicare for All supports at 70. Medicare for All polls support at 70, 52 Republicans, 85 Democrats. The D's congressional leaders, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, are opposed. This means they obstruct even their own party. They do obstruct their own party. They always, that's what they live to obstruct their party. They live to actually, to actually deceive their own voters. Ebenezer Adams, thank you again. Cool Blue 71, they live to deceive their own voters. That's why they're there. That's why they're there. Cool Blue 71. Because the thing is, they can't tell the truth. If they told the truth, then they wouldn't be, politicians need to be forced to listen to Black Sabbath 24/7, 365. Yes, Black Sabbath is awesome. Awesome. Johnny 5, thank you. Ebenezer Adams, thank you very much. And like I said, I mean, definitely your expertise spans beyond just one topic. I would love to get your take on also how she might have transferred the top secret intelligence from JWICs. This will vindicate me when it's all said and done. This will vindicate all my obsession. How she transferred it is game, set, match. That'll lead to the Clinton Foundation, obviously, because that's why she had the server. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. So Julian Castro, it's kind of like, well, I'll read you. Jobless rate for Hispanic Americans matches record low. This is October 5th, 2018. The unemployment rate for Americans of Hispanic or Latino ethnicity fell to 4.5% in September, matching a record low hit in July. At the same time, the jobless rate for white Americans edged down to 3.3%, the lowest level since 1969. So that is, if this continues, it's going to be very difficult for Trump to lose in 2020. Now, I know that I was very confident about one chamber of Congress, and I think there was some funny business going on, but whatever. I accurately called the 2016 election, I stated the day after that Trump will win if Democrats don't change, and they got a lot worse. And I'll tell you this, I think Trump's going to win in 2020. I'll tell you this, he might even win if William Barr turns into another Sessions. He might even still win. And I was at a friend's birthday party last night, and one of my friends went to me and said, well, what happens if Trump doesn't win? What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, my channel isn't dependent upon Trump. I used to be a Bernie Sanders supporter. It still was a successful channel. My channel is dependent upon what I believe. And so I'm not going to tell people, oh yeah, vote for this person, but I'll vote for this person, but you vote for that person in swing states. Like, no, I'm not going to straddle the fence. I'm going to just be myself all times. That's why yesterday when I was talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and I was talking about specifically the anti-interventionist foreign policy, I just feel, was it Johnny 5 who brought that up? I I just feel there's not enough emphasis on bringing home Americans from conflict. That's all. That's all. There's just not enough emphasis on that. That's what drives me. Bringing home Americans from conflict. I want Americans home. Then, of course, I got a rebuttal. Do you want Americans home from Japan and Germany? But this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I got to deal with. Being an IT pro myself with experience and expert, I put my support to Ebenezer Adams on the BC issue. The Yahtzee. Ebenezer Adams, the Yahtzee. Thank you. And listen, that I respect. I just respectfully disagree. And I'm never gonna. I'll never go full Q on that stuff. But that'll just be respectful. But I mean, both of you will probably have a lot more knowledge and insight as to how she transferred top secret intel, how she set up the server. I have no idea. Ebenezer Adams, thank you so very much. The key to finding how she did it rests in the router logs. Okay, now we're venturing towards territory that I'm not an expert on or even understand completely. The servers could be wiped, but not the traffic lights, okay? As packets went through, the to and from was recorded at the router level. Start there. Okay. Oh, the key to finding out how she did it rests in the router logs, okay? I know what the router logs are. The servers could be wiped, but not the traffic lights. Okay. The packets went through. The to and from was recorded at the router level. Interesting. So that means the whole State Department knows. Okay, President Trump should read this from Ebenezer Adams from my live stream. If anybody's watching the White House, interesting. Luke St. Martin, yeah. 3 little HAs. Very interesting. So then they already know. My God. This makes me even more annoyed. So they already know. So this isn't a secret. Paul Sperry should know this. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. I'm going to actually copy and paste this. So I might have to speak to some journalists I know about this issue. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you. These discussions have gone to new lengths of amazingness. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. So if anybody wants to expand on that with their knowledge, that would be great. The key to finding out how she did it rests in the router logs. So the router logs, how Clinton transferred. So the service could be wiped, but of course there are other there's so many other aspects of the digital transfer that record what took place. Thank you, Ebenezer Adams. Thank you. So it's like the information is there. Johnny 5, God bless you. Thank you for your service and thank you for all you've done. Thank you. Johnny 5, as a war vet of Afghanistan, I resemble your remark and second it. Enough already. We were lied to. Blessed are the peacemakers like Rand Paul, Tulsi Gabbard. That's what I'm talking about. Johnny 5, Rand Paul, love 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 Tulsi Gabbard, love President Trump. All 3 are combined with independent thought. Love Rand Paul, love President Trump, love Tulsi Gabbard. And the reason I do is because, Johnny 5, God bless you. I have a good buddy who is an Afghanistan war veteran, and we were actually driving to the Angeles rifle range together. And one of my first videos on Second Amendment. It's my buddy's who's an Afghanistan veteran. It's his AR that I was shooting. It was really awesome with a great scope and everything. And on the way to Angeles, he was telling me, Johnny Five, about his stories. And I can't even talk about it. I'm sure you know exactly what he's talking about regarding the issues of, gosh, I don't even want to talk about it because it's obviously you can't even talk about it on YouTube policies, but it was insane. He said he couldn't do anything about it, and he was just telling me about it, and it was like, and he oh my God, he remembers just yeah. So anyway, he was just telling me stuff. It was crazy. Like the American public doesn't know this stuff. So Johnny Five, thank you. Thank you. And that's, I want Americans home. And the thing is, one critique I was reading from one of the progressive papers was, well, if you want if you just oppose military conflict just to bring Americans home, that's not moral enough. In my head, I'm like, what? Like, well, there's no emphasis on, well, yeah, of course I'm talking about an emphasis also on the civilian leaders that we have don't know anything. Like, there are people like Max Boot, Bill Kristol, Donald Rumsfeld, all these people, they are totally miscalculated. So the civilian leaders get us into, it's not the fault of the American soldier, it's the troops, it's the civilian leaders get us into these regime changes and these interventionist conflicts, and then suddenly you have power vacuums, then suddenly you have different factions, all these different 5-6 different factions. Then you have, in the case of Afghanistan, you have Pakistan right there. And so, do you know what goes from Pakistan to Afghanistan? It's like geography is not suited for our goals. Thank you, Johnny Five. Cool Blue 71, 2016 was a Republican pickup of the presidency for Trump. Pattern has been that following a party switch year, the party booted out, doesn't win back the White House at the next cycle. 2020 favors ours. 2016 was a Republican pickup of the presidency for Trump. Pattern has been that following a party switch year, the party booted out, doesn't win back the White House. With the next cycle, 2020 favors. Yep, I agree. Cool Blue 71, I agree. Presidents generally go 2 terms. Unless it's like, well, Ford was only there because of Nixon. And then you had Jimmy Carter, but you had Reagan, you had Clinton, you had Obama. You just go on for, all the 2-term presidents. Cool Blue 71, thank you. Johnny Five, Restrepo is a good snapshot. Wow, Restrepo. I saw that documentary. My God. Wow. Awesome. My station. Yeah, no, wow. Johnny Five, thank you. Yeah. I just, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny Five. Correct me if I'm wrong. But my God, the Restrepo, the base was on the bottom of a valley. 2 terms unless you're a Bush. Yeah, that's true. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if people seen the video, Restrepo, the base was of the gentleman who lost his life. The base was at the bottom of a valley. That's who decided that. I mean, that is just the worst. That's not smart to do, because you're then, the enemy is looking down at you. And so, as a U.S. Nick Chad Davis, thank you for your service. Thank you. As a U.S. Navy veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, I can say, bring them home. Our wars are Iraq. We love you, HA. Thank you, Chad Davis. We love you and Johnny Five and everyone here. And thank you. I agree. And that's my thing. I've written against, thank you, Chad Davis. I've written against counterinsurgency wars. And this is my article in The Hill. So I was against sending Americans, very much against sending Americans to Syria. Here's my article in The Hill talking about that. There's my article in The Hill. I have an article in the Roanoke Times. I have articles in a bunch of places talking about how I want Americans home. That's my Hill article when I was a contributor to The Hill. But I've written a bunch about it, a bunch. Johnny Five, yes, there were, I believe, forward operating bases and outposts were in valleys. Oh my God. It's like fighting in a fishbowl and we were the fish. My God, who thought of that? Who's the guy that thought of that? Why would you do that? My God, Johnny Five. They didn't even do that in Vietnam, although in Vietnam, some of the bases were not placed were placed in dangerous areas. But why would you put an American base in a valley in any country? Why would you put anything, where you're housing Americans in a valley? It just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. I mean, that person, honestly, the person should be like fired or court-martialed or something that put the decision to, or there should be an investigation. Like, why would you put a base where it is advantageous for the enemy? Why would you deliberately do something, or maybe inadvertently through just horrible policy or horrible assessment, do that? Thank you, Johnny Five. Thank you. The Yahtzee. Just to add my 2 cents to Ebenezer Adams' statement, the router logs may or may not exist anymore. Oh, no. Where are they then? But NSA does keep the traffic data. They only need to decrypt HTTPS, which they are surely able to do. But Ebenezer and the Yahtzee, the interesting thing is she had her own her local cable station, her local cable affiliate. I think that's where she got her internet for her house in Chappaqua. So she had to go ahead and get access to the internet somehow when she was at home, or when she, because the Chappaqua server got all the information that she got at the State Department. So she had her own cable regional cable station, or city, the whatever it is, Time Warner, who knows what it was, cable Chappaqua, cable companies Chappaqua, content email server. I spoke about this in Buttertop secret emails. Private server in Clinton's Chappaqua home. So, because she had to log on to the internet somehow. So I don't know how she would have logged on to the internet if she was at Chappaqua and outside the State Department. So that's another interesting. Johnny Five, perhaps to attract the enemy. Oh my God, that's true. Instead of looking all over for them, just trying to put my head around it myself, the generals must have had a reason. Johnny Five, thank you. Johnny Five, thank you. Yeah, that Johnny Five, thank you. That's to bring the bad guys towards Americans, but that also doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, that's the thing, That's the thing, in the counterinsurgency conflicts, you're always trying to. What happens is, William Westmoreland, the general in Vietnam, it's just the same. It's just you're trying to outsmart people who just live there. and they're going to live there forever. It would be like going into, it would be like, like the movie Red Dawn. If we were invaded and, we all know our states, we all know our cities better than any foreign adversary. Same with them. Same in any country. I mean, it wasn't just us. It wasn't just the United States. It was the Russians before, the French in Vietnam, the Russians in Afghanistan. So, I mean, we didn't learn. And then, people like Robert McNamara, they write books afterwards. Gosh, this is, it was a big mistake. It was a mistake what we did, but that was after all the suffering. But thank you. Thank you. There's an interesting poll out. They're talking about, so wait, hold on. Washington Examiner. Support for Trump's wall reaches all-time high. So this is interesting. Support for Trump's wall along the U.S.-Mexico border is at an all-time high weeks into partially the January 13th Washington Examiner. According to results of an ABC News Washington Post poll released Monday, 42% of Americans support the wall. That's up from 34% 1 year ago and a previous high of 37% in 2017. So, with 54%, the majority is still opposing the wall. However, the opposition is shrinking. See, the thing is, you also have to take into account there's endless, if it's 42% now with endless negative media coverage. Ebenezer Adams, thank you so very much today. Thank you, my God. It was LocalNet. If it was LocalNet, it's even easier, unless she had a direct backbone connection, which I doubt. All that traffic went through routers. To add to Yahtzee, the logs might be gone, but the tape backups at Iron Mountain. Okay. So the logs, so the router logs might be gone, but there is the backup at the NSA or, okay. That's interesting. That is interesting. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Doesn't matter which ISP she used, all data traffic goes through the backbone. I suspect that's where the NSA is plugged in. Oh, wow. Okay. This is interesting. This is very interesting. I mean, this is the type of thing that Republicans, if they had established Republicans, if they had any brain, would discuss. I mean, it's so easy to bring that up, which makes me think, were they asked not to bring it up? It's like, how did she nobody even questions how she transferred. I just don't understand. That's the simple number one way to get Comey, Strzok, McCabe, all of them. All of them. That's the number one way. The number one way. And there is no defense for that, because then you'd have to get other people saying, well, we didn't really want her to do it, but she did it anyway. And then it's game over. William Barr knows all of this too. So, William Barr is, hopefully, I'm not saying trust Barr, but Ebenezer Adams, I have contacted Congress, as have I. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they don't. There's also a Ebenezer Adams. There's also a need to they don't the reason that even establishment Republicans push the Trump Russia nonsense is because they're like, we have to find a way to to convince people that they need government, that they need us there protecting them. So we'll just say that there's a possibility. That's why Lindsey Graham goes back and forth. Lindsey Graham knows that there's no evidence. That's why Lindsey Graham goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's why people like Trey Gowdy and Lindsey Graham, they know what's up, but they're like, we just don't know. We can't let Russia interfere in our world, in our lives. You need government to help you. You need the establishment Republicans because there's always a chance that Trump might have worked with Russia to hack the DNC, to inform everyone that Bernie Sanders was cheated, to let people know, to then pay for Facebook ads with shirtless, glistening Bernie Sanders, says Trey Gowdy. It definitely is a show. The Yahtzee, Ebenezer Adams, thank you both so much. Thank you. Johnny Five, thank you as always. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what goes on with Trump. This is and this is the thing with Julian Castro. He's not going to get the Bernie vote. So that's not going to happen. There are a lot of Latinos who love Bernie Sanders. And they remember a lot of people, Democrats, Americans, all people who still love Bernie Sanders. And they remember that Julian Castro was part of the system to harm Bernie. So that's the thing. They're not going to, just because he seems to be very popular doesn't mean that he's going to be able to unite. What they're trying to do is they're trying to find someone to unite the Bernie crowd, which Bernie Sanders once had even though I'm glad Trump won and I will vote for Trump in 2020 because Trump is bringing home Americans from never-ending conflict. There was a time when literally I would watch the Bernie Sanders with the little bird and I would have tears just of oh my God, this is such a special moment. Then Deborah Wasserman picked it off with the 22, the birdie. Well, no, actually the bird has been pooping on the Democratic Party with all his friends. So they try to pick the bird off, but then, it didn't work. Now there's a squadron of pigeons just pooping all over the Dems, which is what they deserve. And it didn't work. Deborah Wasserman. Don't tell me we have Julian Castro, who tried to undermine me not long ago. Insta Patriot, I'm terrified. Castro will flip. That's the thing also. I mean, there are a great many Latino Republicans, Hispanic Republicans. Actually, I believe in the Republican Party, the Latino Republicans are growing faster than any ethnic group. Because Latino families, most Latino families are conservative in terms of value system. A lot of ethnicities in this country are conservative in terms of their value system. But the fastest growing conservative movement, I do believe, is in the Latino community. So the Republicans are growing fastest in the Latino community. Asians also. Asian Americans and Latino Americans, Republicans are growing faster than Democrats are growing. Republicans, growth, Latino community. Actually, why Latino voters are abandoning the Democratic Party. GOP makes inroads with Hispanics in Florida. Yep. Then you have in this 538 article, why Latino voters haven't completely abandoned the GOP. Well, the assumption there is Latino voters would not want a wall, which is why would you assume that? The Republican appeal. Maybe we're wrong. Yes, you definitely are wrong. You know, the best thing to happen, Hispanics flourishing in Trump's economy. This is September. President Trump's economy is the rising tide that lifting all boats. This is especially true for Hispanics, who are among the biggest victims of low-growth, high-regulation economy under President Obama. This is by Alfredo Ortiz. He's the president and CEO of Job Creators Network. Last week, the Census Bureau announced new household income numbers, which showed the median income for Hispanic households grew by 3.7%, adjusted for inflation. That's more than double the increase seen by all households. Wow. More Hispanics moved into the upper income brackets and fewer remained in lower ones. Wow. This is great. This is great. That's welcome news as the nation celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month. Contrast to the Obama economy, it took until 2015 for Hispanic household incomes to finally get back to their 2006 levels. Wow. Wow. That is a crazy stat. It took until 2015, almost 8 years of Obama, for Hispanic household incomes to finally get back to their 2006 levels. So there you go. There you go. That's yet another reason, in addition to the fact Julian Castro tried to undermine Bernie Sanders, and he was selling non-performing loans at HUD to Wall Street. I mean, all of that is just going to be, in addition to rising incomes, there are more opportunities than ever today for Hispanics. This month, the Labor Department announced that Hispanic unemployment rate remains at a record low. Median weekly earnings for full-time Hispanic employees have grown by 4.3%. President Trump's pro-growth policies have had a disproportionately positive effect on Hispanics because they are more entrepreneurial than the general population, which is true. So that's another reason that Cool Blue 71, yes, Lionel Nation had it right several months ago. The Democrats, the establishment, are losing their party. They are. They are. All right, so this is very, very interesting. Hispanics have also benefited greatly from the growing economy. For example, the number of full-time jobs is rapidly increasing at the expense of part-time jobs. The approval rating of Hispanics' approval rating of President Trump is on the rise, according to Harvard Harris poll this summer. Trump's approval among Hispanics jumped 10 percentage points in 1 month. So this is going to be interesting. So many factors at play. Johnny Five is the leading cause of preventable. Johnny Five. This is NBC News. Democrats have a Latino problem. Can they fix it in time? Beto O'Rourke. That's funny. This article talks about Beto O'Rourke. The guy he's not Hispanic. That's hilarious. Democrats have a Latino problem. Given Trump's rhetoric about immigrants. Oh, it's rhetoric. His rhetoric was not about immigrants. That's not his rhetoric. You think this is what a prejudice. What a horribly out of touch. Given Trump's rhetoric about immigrants and his border policies, you'd think Hispanics would be leading the march to the polls. They aren't. Oh my God. Yeah, because the rhetoric, the liberal media propaganda machine sees the rhetoric, actually twists the rhetoric of Trump, twists and manipulates for propagandistic purposes. Ebenezer Adams. Go to South Florida. Cuban population there is amazing, wonderful people. Absolutely love Cuban people, love Cuban food. I spend time in Homestead researching a book I can't seem to write. Ebenezer Adams, write it. Write it. And I appreciate your support today and always. Use this segment to just write your book. Believe me, I know how hard it is to write. My God, I know. It's tough. Very tough. Especially like a book, because you always have doubts and you always have, negative thoughts, but just do it like Nike. Doesn't matter. Also, don't ever strive for perfection, because perfection will just prevent you from writing. Just, go up to the plate and just swing. Really. That's why when you watch these, and YouTube, there are all these swing analysis, these baseball swing analysis videos, and they break it down to every single thing, and they like break it, and it's like, if you're a kid, how do you remember all these? How do you remember all of this? And then they have different names of the load, and it's like, I don't know. If you're a kid, just see ball, hit ball. Obviously, you have to have a good stance and that it works for you. But see, if you get too like lost in the weeds, like I usually do with my segments, you won't see ball, hit ball, and then you won't just write that book. But go for it. Just do it. Doesn't matter how it turns out. It'll turn out great if you don't care how it turns out. So, but write the book. Ebenezer Adams, write your book. Do it this week. Do it today. Do it today with the book. Progressive groups against Julian Castro. So there you go. So, there you go. All year, we've seen candidates tipping over themselves to show how tough they'd be on Wall Street. Then to turn around and take a step backwards with Julian Castro. Oh, my God. So there you go. I mean, the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party's primary, the primary battle is going to be absolutely enjoyable, lovely. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. If they nominate Beto O'Rourke with everything that we've had to hear for 2+ years, for 3+ years, if they nominate Beto O'Rourke, I am going to have the best time. I am going to have the best time. First of all, Trump will easily win. I do agree with Sticks that I watch Sticks every day. I do agree with him that Julian Castro is better than the rest, but I just think that he has so many hurdles, especially from the left. Especially from the left. Especially from the left. So, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you. My goodness, thank you very much. Cool Blue 71. Thank goodness for Davis Rose report last month. Absolutely. Following that with spin like David Brock and Neera Tanden, the D vote should know candidate's record says a lot. Absolutely. Absolutely. David, and you know what David Sirota got for it? Cool Blue 71. You know what he got for it? He was attacked for it. That's what they do. That's what they do. They attack. They go after journalists who don't toe the party line. Absolutely. Cool Blue 71, thank you. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Write that book. And thank you for everything. Johnny Five. So my entire super chat, thank you. This has been a great segment. Julian Castro could very well win the nomination for Democrats. But because he undermined Bernie Sanders, because he went after Bernie Sanders, I don't think that's going to help him at all. Insta Patriot, let's make HA rich today. What about Rust Belt? Will we flip more red with Minnesota by 2020? Thank you so much, Insta Patriot. I think that, well, Trump has to win Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Florida. But Florida is a better chance than I think that he can win Ohio and Pennsylvania and Michigan. I really do. I think Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan are leaning towards Republicans. And I do think that Republicans will still keep Texas. See, Beto O'Rourke outspent Cruz. Hold on one second before we go. If you go to Open Secrets here, Open Secrets, Texas race. I mean, they talk about, oh, wow, well, this Beto O'Rourke he almost flipped Texas. Not really. It's almost 2-1, 45 million to 79 million. So it's like you got 40 million to 80 million. It's practically 2-1. Beto O'Rourke raised and spent practically 2-1. So it's like, same thing with Clinton. If it's a level playing field, there's no way that Clinton wins the popular vote even. I mean, and then you have media that's completely in bed with the Democratic Party. So I interviewed Seema Hernandez, who was also running against Beto O'Rourke. She would have been a much better choice than Beto O'Rourke. And she got like hundreds of thousands of votes without hardly any media coverage. Beto O'Rourke got all the media. He got almost double the money, and he still lost to Cruz. That's not practically flipping Texas. That's just you're getting every single advantage and still losing. So, ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, everyone. Definitely also check out my Second Amendment channel. Cool Blue 71, Minnesota's flippable. It's true. HSC won it by 1.51. Yep. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan are top bellwether states. Yep. Well, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Ohio have to beat Trump. They gave Trump his 270, 209, 306. They will carry the winner again in 2020. I believe Trump is going to win in 2020. I think that it'll be close, very close. He could possibly lose if William Barr doesn't turn the tables. They have to flip the script here. They have to change up what's going on. It can't just be Russia collusion, which is nonsense. And ladies and gentlemen, definitely check out my Second Amendment channel. Browning High Power is my latest one. Very, really awesome. Subscribe now. There's my channel. The super chat now. Subscribe now. HA Second Amendment. Cool Blue 71. Thank you for always watching and free. I agree with you. Look, it's going to come down to Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio. So, going to come down to that. It's going to come down to that. So you compare, this is an interesting morning consult. So Trump is negative 29 in terms of popularity in California. But in Pennsylvania is -6, and Ohio is only -3, which you take into account is probably positive. In Michigan, -12, so that's a worry. Wisconsin -12, Minnesota -14, but Florida -3. So that's, in terms of approval. Trump doesn't need a high approval rating because he's Trump. 60% of voters didn't approve of him, in terms of the favorability ratings on November, the day before, November 6, 2018. 2016. Sorry, the 2016. Oh, sorry. November 7th, 2016, he had 60% of Americans. So, November 7th, on November 8th, 2016, 60% of Americans have disapproved of Trump, and he still won. But this is really interesting. Cool Blue 71. Here's this morning consult. So Cool Blue 71, check this out. I don't really care about the negative approval ratings with Trump. -6 in Pennsylvania, -3 in Ohio, -3 in Florida. Those are pretty safe. Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida. Those are pretty safe. Michigan and Wisconsin are definitely in pool. He has to win Michigan. I think he will. See, -12. I mean, when you compare it to like Vermont, -31, Massachusetts, -29, Connecticut, -20, New Jersey, -17, New York, -23. So look, Virginia is only -3. I mean, you have pockets that are Democratic pockets, which is why they won the House. But the presidential election, different ballgame. Different ballgame. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. God bless. I will see you soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you today to my super chat. Thank you very, very, very much.